Hey everyone, it's great to be back. I'm Justin Diamond, and today I'm going to read chapter 17 from my novel Giant Special Tokyo Love and Game. With my infant daughter Zelda sitting on my lap, I found myself at the controls of my elaborate computer setup, not playing WoW or any other game, but rather pondering the more important things in life and what they meant to me. One thing was certain: I loved my time at the computer. I loved to sit there and push the buttons, and for some strange but doubtless universal lesson, I never realized it until I saw my daughter watching me do the usual. They say there are two kinds of people in the world: those with kids and those without. Zelda was learning by watching me, and for the first time I had to acknowledge that she was probably seeing too much of the back of my head. Too much of me pushing the buttons on the keyboard. What child wouldn't want to use the computer if Daddy was having oh so much fun using it? Wasn't all that computer time teaching her that pushing buttons on the keyboard is what's really important in life? It didn't help that I kept such an epic computer setup, that I had rigged up 3 computers over 3 monitors to be all controlled by a single keyboard and mouse. That's just how I rolled. Next to my ribbon of LCD monitors, even the TV paled in comparison. I decided to play WoW on monitor number 1, while Zelda watched a video on monitor number 3. It wasn't an ideal way to play WoW. I couldn't quite use both hands together, but I could get by playing with one hand if I stuck to daily quests. Zelda would be entertained, mostly. No way I could play full-on WoW. I mean, nothing demanding like a 5-man dungeon or, heaven forbid, a raid. Just a few daily quests out in the Argent tournament grounds. I'd skip the tough ones. Maybe fly around collecting herbs for potions when that was done. Like I said, casual gaming, stuff I could do with one hand. The key to teaching my daughter English, I knew, was starting her at an early age. No age was too early, really, since they say babies can hear what's going on around mommy, even when they're in the womb. But I had already overheard the neighbor's young girl scream, "Ego yada!" Not English, when her parents tried to make her watch an episode of Special Agent Oso. It was funny how big a difference attitude could make. Zelda would literally sing the Special Agent Oso theme song for hours until I let her watch it. The neighbor's girl would scream to turn it off. Teaching Zelda English would be an uphill battle. Living in Japan, Japanese would be the language she'd learn first. My solution was to hide the addictive Japanese cartoons that aired on the TV from her for as long as possible. Instead, I downloaded English shows for her to watch. Barney, Curious George, Special Agent Oso, The Wiggles, another Barney, and, then something changed. And what changed was Zelda had seen Japanese TV. I never did figure out where she'd seen it. Probably at her daycare, but she could have just as easily seen it at one of her friends' houses. I'd spent enough time away from her to know, now, that I couldn't really control everything she watched. And nobody could. I was all caught up in my game, just about to click on some rare herb, Lich Bloom, to collect for alchemy later, when Zelda hit my hand and threw off my click. "Purukiwa," Zelda said. "What?" I asked, trying to move her tiny hand off mine so I could click the Lich Bloom. "Purukiwa," Zelda repeated. "What's that?" Sora called from the next room. "That's a TV show." "Oh." Purukiwa! No, Zelda. You have to say, I wanna watch Purukiwa. I wanna watch Purukiwa! And just like that, I realized that Zelda had already outsmarted me. As a way to encourage her to speak English, I had a standing policy to honor her every request spoken in English. Up until then, it had always been simple requests. If those requests were for television shows, they were for shows that I had introduced to her. English language shows. But now she had learned to request to watch a Japanese show. Well, it hadn't taken long. To be consistent with her, I had to let her watch Purukiwa, whatever that was. I just wanted to fly around and pick a few more stacks of Lich Bloom and wow. But that settled it. We would both get what we wanted. Okay, come on now, I said, smothering Zelda as I leaned over her to reach for the TV remote. Yeah, Purukiwa, Zelda cheered. She was so happy she was literally dancing on my lap. It didn't make my job any easier, as now I had to worry about not letting her accidentally hit me in the nuts. Not familiar with the Japanese TV channels, I had to channel surf to find this mysterious Purukiwa. It didn't help that I didn't even know what to look for, but I was confident Zelda would let me know when we'd found it. Honey, Zelda called from the next room. Honey, Purukiwa isn't on right now. It's not? No, not until 5:30. I glanced at the clock. It was just after 4:30. I'm sorry, Zelda. We can't watch Purukiwa. It's not on. But Zelda clearly didn't understand with her enthusiastic dancing and singing. And that's when I realized she must have been singing the theme song to what was her new favorite TV show. Sweetheart, it's a TV show. It's not something that Daddy downloads and plays on his computer. I was acutely aware that I had just referenced to myself in the third person. I was officially an old fart, officially a dad. Zelda danced on, clearly not understanding what I was trying to tell her. Sora yelled some Japanese from the other room, and finally, Zelda got the message, which sent her into a small crybaby tantrum until I came across a children's show, probably the correct channel that Purukiwa would come on in another hour. The sound of the children's show, the Japanese, caught Zelda's attention immediately. With it went her cries. There was a team of 4 adults dressed in silly costumes, one of them as beautiful as a model, singing and dancing, a song with lyrics so simple that I could understand. I followed along. Panda, Usagi, Koala, went the first bit of it that I could catch. Panda was panda, the same in Japanese as it was in English. Usagi was rabbit, another basic word that I had learned in Japanese long ago, and koala was another same as English word. But what made it really easy to follow was the dance that went along with the song. As they said the words, they would pull their hands over their eyes like they were holding binoculars to represent panda. The emphasis was on the dark circles of color around the eye. They made bunny ears over their heads for Usagi. Koala got a hug pose as if they were hugging a tree. Panda, Usagi, Koala, I said, and looked down at Zelda moving her lips, learning the words of the song at the same time as me. Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to finish reading this. See you next time.